Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out something called Party Business by developer R. Hill. This is a very silly and very surreal game that feels a little bit like a combination between Pac-Man and air hockey with a little bit of something like the tone of maybe Gator Time. I mean, it's really irreverent, as you can kind of tell. We're sliding around here like a puck and collecting presents. The basic premise is that we are a cake who is partnered up with his boss, the CEO of a corporation called PartyCo, and we are looking for presents to try and make the party as good as it can possibly be, because that is what you do at parties, try to make them exciting and fun and wonderful and illustrious. And the problem is, though, I'm a cake, and people like to eat cake, so those forks are representative of people who are hungry, chasing us down, trying to take what we have and turn us into stuff they can put in their belly. Anyway, the reason I chose to play this one today had a little bit to do with the fact that last episode was actually our 600th, and I didn't actually realize it at the time because my playlist was 2 episodes off, because I guess I had forgotten to add 2 episodes to the playlist. So if you're just arriving here for the very first time, and this is your first Indie Impressions episode, you've got 600 other ones to watch in another playlist, or another set of playlists. So this is our celebration. We're having a party, and we're going to have a good time, and that's why we've got cake. The party business needs closers, Mr. Cake. By the way, we've got this hilarious, kind of bobble-headed, Muppet-looking character here who is our CEO, like I mentioned earlier, and he shows us this terrific graph, which has time versus presence, and then what would normally be sort of a digital representation of a 0 or a 1. The point where we go from 0 forks to 1 forks is represented by a red bar, so you can kind of see the progression. And I think that's pretty funny. And look at his arm wobble around. You average 10.97 seconds between gifts. And let's try again. So collect as many presents as you can. Cake without gifts isn't a real party. I guess so. It's just being sad and getting fat. And I died already. Alright, let's try again. I don't know why I'm saying died, but I was eaten, I suppose. Remember, time is money, and party time is party money. That's fair. So the forks are going to take a dive at us each time and try and take us out if possible. We're a little too fast for them, and we've got to go fast. That's the only way to have a real party. You know, live crazy and throw ourselves around a little bit. Throw caution to the wind and bump around through all the hedge maze that is our world right now. It's a little bit evocative of something like Katamari Damacy. I know I've made that reference fairly recently, but it's got this really saccharine, bizarre, plasticky sort of cutout feel to it. And if you look at the clouds in the background, it almost feels like we're in some sort of like a Lego diorama or something of a representation of a hedge maze landscape. And that just aids to make it a little bit more surreal. Then when you factor in that we're sort of playing Pac-Man here, but instead of ghosts we've got forks, and instead of Pac-Man we've got cakes, well, it sort of helps to show you the point of how kind of irrelevant the objects in actual Pac-Man are, because you're actually eating cherries and stuff. But more to the point, this is also pretty silly, and we're bouncing. Literally, we're just bouncing through space right now, with absolutely not a care in the world. Okay, thankfully we've been brought back down to reality by a bad move. Oh my goodness! Oh, I barely avoided that. Let's hit these presents. I really enjoy when we start flipping and spinning. I think it's probably the most fun part of it all. And there's also a little bit of like an Alice in Wonderland sense of surreal nature to the thing. I mean, I don't really know what else to compare this to. There's nothing really out there like it. But it almost feels a little bit like a racing game if you think about it. There are actually some curves and some corners that you want to try to optimize to get out of being hit with that fork. What is this over here? There's some sort of little, I don't know, like a fountain or something with some cubes around it. I kind of want to get up there and take a look, but it's difficult to maneuver. The controls are extremely floaty, if you couldn't tell. If I stop moving, I'm going to probably move for a good 15 seconds unless I get hit with one of these forks. Oh, geez. Oh, barely avoided and evaded on that one. There's another present down there. There isn't, unfortunately, any kind of a present counter. That feels like a thing that would probably want to be added in the future if the developer chose to continue this. It was, however, created for a game jam, so it's not exactly the most serious project, I imagine. Although I could be wrong, of course. But it was created for, I think it was the Game Jolt contest with the theme of party. So I think probably a fairly good representation there. We just went completely through that hedge for whatever reason. And then at the end of this, we seem to have reached a dead end with what looks to be like a baseball player holding a bat over his or her head, I guess. It's unfortunate there's no soundtrack to this, because I could really go for some, like, J-pop playing in the background if we're really going for, like, that Katamari Damacy feel. which kind of feels like, again, what I feel like we're hitting on these notes. But at the same time, there's also some pretty surreal sound effects that'll happen from time to time. You'll hear the forks in stereo position in your headphones if you're playing with those, where they'll come around and they'll sort of taunt you, and they'll be like, cake, cake, cake. And you'll actually hear them creeping over your shoulder, and it's a little wild. I would also think if you wanted to go for a really surreal effect, add a day-night cycle to this for no reason. That would actually be kind of funny. And then if you want to take things even further, go ahead and min-max the whole thing and add different types of cake. Where some of the cake, like the Yule log or something, might be a little bit more fork repellent than a delicious yellow cake with chocolate frosting. You could even do, various marble cakes, different patterns of frosting throughout. You could have various levels of candleage. There could be red velvet cake, which maybe some people prefer and some don't. Maybe you could have different forks that prefer certain types of cake, and then you could see them going off in the distance. It's actually kind of good game design that there are these balloons on the top of the presents that kind of aid you. Oh, we got forked. Are you happy here, Mr. Cake? Yeah, the balloons kind of aid you in seeing where the presents might be off in the distance. And by the way, this dude says business, 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 business over and over again. A little bit sort of like maybe what you'd expect from the Snoopy adults. You know how they do wah, 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 wah. It's kind of that sort of thing. There's a little bit of a mimicry or a, what is it? He's sort of making himself into like his own archetype by being so out there like that and saying business over and over. I just think it's kind of funny. It makes him feel like a puppet. And I think that is much, again, to the point of how silly and over the top this wild party business is. Oh, we got forked again. Oh, man. Business, 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 business. You average 3.51 seconds between gifts. I should mention this game is totally free if you want to play it. Link is going to be right in the description. You can play it right in your browser. And feel free to take as much time as you want and try and get the most presents possible to have the most successful and wonderful party. I could even imagine if you wanted to give this some sort of bizarre story, maybe give the cake character some context to his or her life, and it would be a little bit like an Octodad sort of a scenario. I would love to see some comic panels drawn of like what this cake character does to try to further the business or in his or her off hours. I think that could be kind of entertaining. And all the other things like accessorizing, getting dressed in the morning, picking out your candles, setting the flames to them and all of that. You'll notice the flames actually do flicker, so a little bit of a nice touch there. But I'm not sure that they necessarily move with the direction of the wind, which is maybe feels like a missed opportunity. Also, the fact that the cake does not smash into the walls and then become destructed somewhat as you hit into things feels a little bit like another missed opportunity. If you had soft body physics modeling on this, and the more you hit the walls, the more it left bits of the cake on everything, that could be pretty hilarious to me. And then watching the cake compact itself down into like this tiny little box and then continue to smash into stuff. That would actually give this a lot of legs. I would enjoy that. Throw in a leaderboard, some online leaderboards, maybe a few different locations. You could bring the whole town together, perhaps. It doesn't necessarily have to be this hedge maze all the time. We could go outside of the box there. And then all of a sudden you'd be doing the Cake Drinker Pro scenario where things just keep getting weirder and weirder and spiraling further out of control, which honestly I like to embrace when it comes to indie games like this. It couldn't be more weird or more enjoyable than when you have something absolutely surreal and fantastical and just bizarre like this. So I think this will be a lovely first addition to, this is now episode 601, and a brand new playlist for Indie Impressions, so there's plenty more to see. And I guess with that, we will wrap up the episode. So again, if you want to check this game out, totally free, check in the description of the video. It will be there with many others in various other places. There's also my social media links if you want to check out my Facebook, my Twitch, my Twitter, and of course, Indie-Impressions, which is where you'll find all of the other 600 episodes other than on YouTube. I mean, you can see them all categorized, all sorted, and you can check out different payment styles if you want to check the browser ones, or the free ones, or the Steam games, or the Greenlight games. That's all available for you, so feel free. Go check it out. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about this one. Would you like to be a cake flying through space? Is this a thing you've aspired to do in your life, or just bouncing off of everything? Oh, can I get to the fountain now? Yeah! Alright, well, at least we got to see what it was. Not the most relevant thing, to be perfectly honest. Add more jumps, too. I'd love to see more jumps. I always love a good jump when I'm playing as a cake. But anyway, yeah, go check out more stuff in this series if you enjoyed it. Be sure to leave your support also if you have enjoyed this, because that is the most important thing. It means the world to me that you guys are here watching and every comment I do read. So let me know what you think of bizarre games like this. Is this something that you enjoy in the series? I'm going to do more of them, of course, but I love to know where you're at with that. And we'll go back and forth between huge games like Starbound, and then the next day we'll play some party business. So apparently that was just not acceptable, Mr. Cake, so I guess we'll just start again and see how it goes. Presents versus forks. Certainly a higher ratio of presents to forks in this case. However, forks win out, because again, 0 or 1 scenario. You're eaten after only 184 seconds. That seems pretty good to me. I don't know of a lot of cakes that exist for 184 seconds before somebody takes a bite out of them. Anyway, that is going to do it for another episode, so please be sure to come back again tomorrow. New episodes are every single day for Indie Impressions, so I'll be back then, and I hope to see you here. I hope you have a lovely night as well, so take care, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Yum.